currently 96 degrees here in Philadelphia, which is oddly similar to the temperature of the Grand Canyon, which I was at about a month ago.
Alright, bro, rock, paper, scissors. If you win, I'll jump off the cliff right now. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Thankfully, 99 felt way better in Arizona than it does here.
Screw this humidity!
But aside from the temperature, there are quite a few things I learned about the Grand Canyon while I was there, such as expenses, fun things to do, and what you should plan for. So I'm gonna walk you through a little guide of everything I would keep in mind on your first trip to the Grand Canyon. So the first and most obvious thing is cost of flight, cost of hotel, cost of car, you know, the painful stuff. Now I want to be clear here and address the fact that I did pay for all of this part of my trip with credit card points, so I didn't actually spend any money on these things. However, I am going to take you through the prices of what I would have spent if I were paying in normal money. To get to the Grand Canyon, I flew from Philadelphia to Phoenix, had a short layover in Phoenix for about an hour, and then flew over to Flagstaff. I did the exact opposite on the way back, and that whole flight costed about $930. Painful, but it hurts a lot less if you're using points. Anyway, hotel. I spent 4 nights at the Grand Canyon Inn, which is about 30-minute drive from the Grand Canyon entrance. In total, that was around $843, which came out to around $210.77 per night. Final method of transportation, I rented a car. It just made it a lot easier and I felt like it was a good thing to do. I wanted a lot of autonomy on my first solo travel trip and I wanted to make sure I didn't mess anything up, so this felt like the easy decision. The car rental was around $325 plus whatever insurance, gas, and whatever add-ons you want to add for it. I personally ended up prepaying for gas, which I probably didn't need to, and got a good protection plan, so that was around another $200 on top of that. And yeah, as I said, the flight from Philly to Phoenix was about 4 hours. Had a layover in Phoenix for about an hour, and then the flight from Phoenix to Flagstaff was really quick. It was about maybe 30 minutes in the air, basically up and down. And then the drive from the Flagstaff airport to my hotel was about an hour, and then it would probably be about an hour and a half to the Grand Canyon Village, if that's where you're staying. Now, as I said, my drive to the Grand Canyon was about half an hour in the morning, so I got up really early. I would also highly recommend doing this. It really depends what you're going to do that day, but I was trying to beat the hot temperatures of the 99 and such. The ideal scenario for me was to not be hiking in that weather, but it didn't work out like that.
What am I even doing out here?
When you get to the Grand Canyon gate, you're gonna buy a pass. There are some benefits such as disability, military, stuff like that, but none of that I qualified for. So I ended up just getting the normal single person, single vehicle, $35 pass. And that pass was good for a week. You can buy the pass when you pull up to the gate in your car. It's really easy, and I don't even think you can buy an online pass anymore, so yeah. When you get in, there are a lot of options for parking. As you can see, the Grand Canyon Visitor Center has 4 parking lots all around it, lots 1 through 3 with RV parking and also a 4th lot. If you're not trying to park at the Visitor Center, there are also lots A, B, C, and D. Lot A is right around the park headquarters. Lot B is also right nearby. Lot C is closer to things like the Village, Bright Angel Trail, and the train depot. And Lot D is where I personally parked just because I was afraid of how much parking there would be. It's at the Backcountry Information Center, and from when I was there was always a lot of parking there. It's also right near Maswick and on the same side as the Bright Angel and the Village as well. Have a plan for where you want to go before in terms of hiking and trails and stuff. It'll make your parking a lot easier, and it'll give you a good idea of which shuttles you need to be on. As you can see from the map, there are 4 shuttle routes: the red, the blue, the purple, and the orange. The shuttle's supposed to begin coming at 6:30, I believe, and come every... I should have probably taken a picture of the schedule because the intervals change at a certain time, but the shuttle comes every 15 to 30 minutes, something like that. And the transfer spots are pretty obvious, and you can always just ask your driver if you need to know where to go. They're really helpful with that. So yeah, once you're on, you'll be fine. If you're going to stuff like South Kaibab Trail or Yaqui Point, you want to be on the orange, so you might have to take the blue shuttle to get over to there depending on where you park. For packing, again, it really depends on how much hiking you want to be doing and what times you're going to be doing it. The Grand Canyon, when I was there, had a sunrise of around 5:30, maybe even a little earlier, and the sunset was about 7:50 to 8. So plan your hikes and adventures around those times. The shuttle buses for the blue and orange trail also stop around 8:30, so about half an hour after sunset. That gives you enough time to see a beautiful sunset on the Grand Canyon and then get back home safely. Bring plenty of sunscreen, bring a hat, bring sunglasses. I would recommend bringing hiking boots just because there are certain spots where it gets a little rocky even on the maintained trails, and you don't want to catch a random rock and end up falling down a mountain. It's also recommended that you ingest a gallon of water while hiking in warm conditions. So make sure you bring a big enough or at least multiple water bottles to make sure you don't suffer from any dehydration while you're out on the mountain. Don't forget to bring food or carbohydrates or something for you so that you don't run out of energy as well. Because it's not just water you're sweating, you're burning a lot of calories too. The two trails that I were able to hike on in my stay were the Bright Angel Trail and the South Kaibab Trail. I also visited some other spots that I'll talk about later, but those are the two main hikes that I'll be talking about as they were supposed to be the beginner's kind of hikes. The Bright Angel Trail is about 9.5 miles down to the Colorado River. But before I go on, I do want to emphasize, don't try to hike all the way to the Colorado River and back in one day. Especially in weather where it's 99 degrees plus.
Hopefully I don't turn into a puddle by the end of this, because that would be really unfortunate.
There have been some stories recently about people not making it through, and you really don't want to be that person. I was really cocky going into it. It was my plan to go all the way down and back. But after getting about halfway down on the South Kaibab Trail, I decided it wasn't a smart move.
1 minute into going back uphill, and I'm breathing way heavier than I was before. I think this was definitely the smart call.
So I'm here to tell you, before you decide to do it, it's not a smart move. Anyway, the Bright Angel Trail was really nice when I was on it. There was a decent amount of shade for at least the first mile or so. There's a rest stop at 1.5 miles. There's a rest stop at 3 miles. Around 9 miles, you get to the Havasupai Gardens. I didn't make it that far, but apparently it's really nice. But that's 9 miles in, so be careful, especially in the heat. As you can see, there are beautiful views even in the 3 to 4-ish mile round trip that I did. And yeah, it's really pretty, a good beginner's hike, and I highly recommend. Important to note that there are some rest stops and some water stations on the Bright Angel Trail, which makes it really beginner friendly and nice if you're not in crazy good shape like some of these hikers are. Which reminds me, plan for your way up taking a lot longer than the way down. You'll probably be going like half as fast and you'll be getting way more tired, and I recommend bringing some hiking poles. I've never used them, but I could definitely tell how useful they would have been. Now for the South Kaibab Trail, my real adventure. Personally went a lot further on this trail than I did on the Bright Angel Trail, mainly because it was my first hike of the day and I left pretty early for it. I was trying to get started by 6:30. I ended up getting started around 7:30 and it was already getting pretty hot. So keep that in mind when trying to avoid the heat. As I mentioned before, you can get to the South Kaibab Trail by going to the orange shuttle bus. The distance from the South Kaibab Trailhead to the Colorado River is a little over 7 miles, but don't be fooled. The elevation is still killer on that trail and it's honestly just as hard, if not harder, than the Bright Angel Trail. Unlike the Bright Angel Trail, there's no water on this trail, so bring a lot. As far as points go, Ooh-Ah Ridge was about 1 mile down. Had some beautiful views, as you can see. If you're just looking for a really small hike, this is a nice one to get a really beautiful view and then head back up. Cedar Ridge is a little further, about 1.5 miles, and also has a bathroom. And Skeleton Point is also gorgeous, about 3 miles down, and you can actually see the river from there, so my personal favorite spot. And yeah, it's important to note that there's not really any shade on the South Kaibab Trail once you get a little bit out, so be prepared for a really hot, really sweaty hike. If you're looking for other things to do with maybe an hour or two, I really enjoyed Mathers Point and Yaqui Point. You can get to all 3 of these points on the Orange Shuttle Trail, and all 3 of them have fantastic views. Yaqui Point was an unreal place to watch the sunset, and I'm sure it'd be a fantastic place to see the sunrise as well. Mathers Point had some nice outlooks that you could go on. There were quite a lot of people, but it was still a fantastic view nonetheless. And if you continue walking on the outlook of Mathers Point, you can get to Yavapai Point and the museum. And like, honestly do it, because walking along that trail, you get some amazing views there too. If you're looking into stargazing, Mathers Point is fantastic for that as well. Otherwise, they recommend Desert View or Moran Point, which is along Desert View Drive. Now, I know not everyone watching this is going to be solo traveling, and definitely not everyone is going to be their first time solo traveling. But honestly, my biggest advice if you're going solo, talk to as many people as you possibly can. It honestly slipped my mind when I was going to the Grand Canyon that it's actually a world wonder, and people from all around the world of different perspectives and languages are going to be there. I honestly don't think I could have counted on 2 hands the amount of languages I heard on my solo travel trail, which you should totally check out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, as much as the views are amazing, meeting people with different perspectives is just going to make it all that much sweeter. Anyway, enough of my yapping. Back to finances. So for food, I did bring my own snacks and stuff like that, such as granola, peanut butter crackers, just normal bird food. The total amount I spent on food in 3 days was around $173, which for 7 meals comes out to $24.72. Now, that's definitely not cheap, but I also was not eating in a way to maximize my budgeting abilities. I may have splurged a little a couple of times. And yeah, you can definitely make it more affordable than I did. Money's not real during vacation anyway, right? The activities I did. I did some amazing activities and had a lot of firsts on this trip. By far my favorite and possibly the best thing I've ever done is skydive. I booked my trip with Paragon Skydiving to skydive over a view of the Grand Canyon, and it did not disappoint. I personally got the video package because I really wanted both to document it and to just have it for myself. That costed $459, which is a lot, but skydiving is not cheap, so yeah. If you did it without the video package, it was only $329, which is pretty good. With my personal experience, my time got moved up a little bit due to windy conditions, so definitely keep an eye on the weather and stuff like that as your time gets closer. But yeah, other than that, it was a great time and I recommend it to everyone. I will say there are certain charges for weight if you're over 210 pounds and over 230 pounds, I believe, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, anyway, second thing, helicopter tour. My first time on a helicopter was booked with what I assume is pronounced Papillon. I did the North Canyon tour in the air and it was also $459. Now my honest opinion on this, it was really fun being in the helicopter. I couldn't talk to anyone else who was there because they all spoke French and I speak un peu. And to be quite honest, I don't think I would book that again just because of how much money it is, and I feel like I got the same views from skydiving and exploring, and I feel like I would have rather just been hiking or something. But I don't know, that was just me. And the final thing I booked was a whole day adventure to Lake Powell and the Horseshoe Bend. In the morning we took a flight to Page and met up with a tour guide. He basically explained everything about Page and took us to Antelope Canyon. From there we met up with a different tour guide and took a tour of Antelope Canyon where I got some beautiful pictures. And eventually we went over to Lake Powell for a rafting adventure. That was absolutely gorgeous, and I got to see the inside of Horseshoe Bend, got to see what I believe were horned sheep, and yeah, it was just all a fantastic experience. But it was $639. Yes, very expensive, I know. 100% you can have a fantastic Grand Canyon adventure without booking all these things. I just wanted to have things to do on my first solo trip because I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I also didn't realize how much I would enjoy just being on my own hiking and talking to people and stuff. So yeah, if it's your first time, embrace it. I had a fantastic first time going to the Grand Canyon. But I will mention one thing before I leave. I did not bring a portable phone charger. Every night when I was going back to my hotel, I was kind of panicked because I had like a 5% battery. And thankfully the road isn't like difficult to figure out because it's just one straight shot south. But where I was staying at the Grand Canyon Inn, I was past the Grand Canyon Village and past Tusayan. So there weren't a lot of restaurants and stuff aside from the hotel restaurant, which I thought was closing, and I ended up being really panicked. I thought I was gonna starve, I thought my phone was gonna die, it was really stressful. So yeah, highly recommend a phone charger as well. And there's some nice places to eat in Tusayan, but there are also some cheaper options in the Grand Canyon Village as well if you want to do that. Masswick Food Court and Hermit's Rest Snack Bar both provide quick options to grab something to eat. And if you're looking for a more sit-down dinner, El Tovar Dining Room and Arizona Steakhouse are both in there as well. So yeah, you got options on the food side as well. Anyway guys, I hope you have such a good time on your first times going to the Grand Canyon. Hopefully you meet some cool people out there. Maybe I'll even catch you out there someday. And yeah, let me know where I should go next. Maybe you can teach me a thing or two. Hopefully I'll see you out there, but what I'll definitely do is see you next time. Peace.